lot of people tend to say that Axton is the worst out of the 6 Vault Hunters, or that he's a bad character in general. While I agree that he is certainly not the most flashy out of all the characters, I certainly don't agree with the statements that he's bad. His movement speed, weapon swap speed, the aggro relief through his turrets, and his grenade damage boosts make him one of my favorite characters in the game. So in this guide I want to show you how I take a fresh Axton from level 1 all the way up to overpowered level 10. But before we get into the actual guide, I want to get some things out of the way first. Since I play on PC, this guide was made with that in mind. You can do everything I show and talk about on console, it just may be a bit slower. Also, as the title says, this guide goes all the way to overpowered level 10, which means that this guide assumes that you have all the content installed for the game. If you are missing something and wonder how you can change the route, feel free to ask in the comments. I will also be using a trick that you can do on PC. There is a keybind to instantly drop your equipped gun out of your hands, and since the game is coded in a way where every gun you find in the world has a full magazine, I can use this to instantly reload my gun. I'll be discussing drop reloading further in the UVHM video. The next thing, I changed my game a bit. Nothing that changes gameplay of course, but just so you don't get confused, I have the black outlines disabled, just cause I think it looks better. I disabled loading screens, and with that all pre-rendered cutscenes, cause I can't be bothered watching it all over and over again. Also, I'm running something called DXVK, which is just an open source Vulkan based translation layer for Direct 3D, which increases the performance of the game. I have also removed the ad that shows up in the main menu of the game. If you're curious how I did all that, I'll have some useful links in the description that'll show you. But speaking of gameplay, I want this guide to be usable by everyone, which is why I have my beta strength disabled and will not be using any world drops that I get. If I use a legendary, it will be specifically because I said to farm it in the guide. Also, I will be doing some skips here and there. I'll be showing them off, but if you can't be bothered to learn them, you can always go the intended way. It really won't change much, other than being a bit slower of course. I also want to encourage everyone who is new to the game to go out and explore it on your own first. This is just my personal route to get to the end game in a more streamlined manner. Okay, so now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get to the guide. In this video, I will be covering all the things I do in normal mode with Axton. Enjoy. Now, the first little skip is actually already done when entering Claptrap's place. I walk in front of his platform to activate a trigger, I jump on the stalagmite to hit the safe station through the wall. Then, once Claptrap starts talking, I skip his dialogue by using the echo that each of the 4 original Vault Hunters start with. After turning in the mission, I save quit to spawn right to the safe station, skipping more of Claptrap's animations. This is another thing I should note. I'll be using save quits often to skip dialogue or running around to a location. As with the skips mentioned in the intro, you don't have to do it, it's just faster than running back and waiting. Once we're back in the game, I go to the Digistruct peak map and complete the first quest to get to level 3. I also check all of the containers for some early grenades and high level guns, which you can sell for early money. Once I did that, I go back to the main game and follow Claptrap all the way to Knuckledracker. I pick up the revolver she drops, and after getting the eye, I save quit twice. Now we're on our way to meet Sir Hammerlock. Nothing here should cause many issues. Once he repaired Claptrap and got the bounty board up and running, we'll get the "This Town Ain't Big Enough" side mission. We do this to unlock the mission after it, because Bad Hair Day is the one we're really after, since it gives a nice sniper as a reward. But first we make our way to Boom Boom. After clearing out Camp 1 and 2, we can either let Claptrap roll over the bridge first, or we do a grenade jump to skip the bridge. If you do the skip, you want to head to this area to activate Claptrap on the other side. Skyrocket makes killing Boom Boom really easy. Once we're done with that, we shoot the gate and immediately jump off of the ship. We're going to these bully monks back here to complete the Bad Hair Day quest now. Once we have all the hair, we go back to Hammerlock and read only from his quest reward for a Dayu. If you don't know what read only means or how to do it, I have a video on that on my channel, which I will link in the description. Once I get the Dayu, we're off to farm Boom Boom for some XP. The goal is to get to level 9 by the time we kill Captain Flynn, as this will scale the next map. So I farmed to around 8.9 and put my points into expertise because I want to go down the gunpowder tree first. Now, getting to Flint has some skips I use, the first being grenade jumping from the house up to the cliff. The second being after saving Claptrap. I use the chain to get up to the lever faster. After hoisting up Claptrap, I jump through this little hole and run up towards the platform where Flint will be. After he spawns, I get him to jump down, get knocked away by his attack, but instantly go back to hug him. We do that to block him in a position where he can't move anywhere. This way, we can kill him easily by critting him over and over again. Now I just follow the mission until I meet Reese. I kill his attackers, and once I get to the objective to search the camp for the core, I shoot in this general area to get the psychos aggroed at me. He will always be the one who carries the core. When meeting Scooter, I do this little trick to skip some of his dialogue. This only works if you have a free scroll mouse wheel on your mouse. If you set the interact key to the mouse wheel and the options, you can use the hundreds of inputs that produces when you spin the mouse wheel to confuse the game and skip some dialogue animations. After that, I pick up the 2 cells from him, get the assassinate the assassin's quest, and a grenade STU from Earl. Now, this is important. I want to do the side quest before speaking to the guard at the headquarters. I want to get some more XP, so the quest that comes after this one will be a high level. So I make my way to Southpaw. Finishing off all 4 assassins should not be too hard, especially if you're not afraid to use the skyrocket indoors. After that, I found the first 2 assassins to around level 12.5. This is to scale the side quest that we'll get later to its highest possible level. I max out expertise and put the remaining points in the Metal Storm. Now we're ready to continue with the main story. We go to the HQ, get the Echo, and head to Frostburn. On our way to the Firehawk, I grabbed Lusco, because it's just a really good SMG that I'll be using a lot in the near future. When meeting Lilith, we do the same trick we did at Scooter to skip her initial dialogue and make the fight start sooner. This is where the level farming comes into play. We want to be level 13 by the time we turn this mission in. We can use the same scroll wheel trick here again to skip more of a dialogue. Being level 13 here will scale the in memoriam side quests we get from her afterwards to level 13, which is its max level. That's important because we'll be farming Bowl for a fastball, and we want it to be its highest possible level. Before I get the mission though, I go to Marcus and do his quest. I don't finish it though, I just do it until I get the slag gun, since I can use it for that early application of slag. After talking to him and starting his mission, I grab the Echo in front of him to override his dialogue and make the quest move along faster. After finishing the mission and getting yourself a fastball, some people like to farm for a specific one or multiple ones. I usually just grab the first one I get. We move on with the story. We meet Ellie, get the car parts, and make our way back to the stronghold. Oh, also, you'll notice I always use the barrel technical throughout this run. That's just because it's faster than any other car. I don't know why either. Anyway, we meet Batman, introduce him to our fastball, and walk into the stronghold. Now it's time to farm for some more levels. Badmo is a really nice and fast XP farm. This is also one of the reasons I got the slag gun. If your fastball is anything but fire, it'll take 2 to kill Badmo, unless he's slagged. I farm Badmo till level 17. Some people farm him till level 18, but I find it to be too slow, so I just move on after 17. Badmo can also drop some decent gear and quite a bit of iridium, so make sure you do pick those up if you see them. Now, while we farm Badmo, I want to mention some items you want to look out for throughout this run. These don't really have a set drop location, so if you find any during your run, make sure you pick them up. First are bandit launchers. They are really good second wind guns, so it's good to have one on hand. Next things are cooldown relics. As the name implies, they reduce the cooldown of your action skill, which is always a good thing. Now, the last 2 things are a longbow and the Law of Zero Fuse Singularity. If you see either of those in a vendor, make sure to buy them, since they'll become useful later on. If you don't find a Zero Fuse one during a normal mode run, that's fine. Just pick one up that has a decent fuse time, decently low that is. If I don't get one during my run through normal mode, I farm one at a later point, so you can always get one then. Once I'm level 17, I max out Metal Storm, get the longbow turret, and start maxing out Steady. After that, I go to Earl to buy some more grenade, backpack, pistol, and sniper STUs, and go to the Rotcut Distillery to get an on-level adaptive shield. I like to use adaptives throughout this run, since the elemental resistance and extra health they give you is really nice. Now it's time to go through Bloodshot. There are a few different ways to get through this map. The first and most obvious one is just going the normal way. Since you got all those levels, nothing in here should pose much of a threat to you. The only room where you have to be a bit careful is Mad Mike's room. It's a circular one with the giant toilet of doom in the middle. Mike spawns with a launcher and doesn't like, so if you have only a few enemies left, go to where he spawns and kill him quickly. Don't let him catch you by surprise. Then there are 2 skips we can do to skip most, if not all, of Bloodshot. You can do this one, make sure you don't jump on that, since that's not solid, and you will fall through it. To get to the initial jump, you can either jump from the platform I used in the first skip, or you can climb up here and get to the same spot that way. The second one does require a double grenade jump, so it'll probably take a bit of practice to get right. Since we farmed all those levels, we can just breeze through a lot of the upcoming missions. I save Roland from the big toaster, meet Mordecai, meet Tina, get the explosives, blow up the bridge, meet and kill Wilhelm, and get Sanctuary in the air. Once I get to 3 horns, I immediately turn around, go back into Sanctuary Hole and to the Caustic Caverns. This map will be important later on, so I want to get the fast travel unlocked early. When we get to the fridge, you can go into Fink's slaughterhouse and farm the vendor there for some better gear. It's not necessary since the Lascaux should still be fine, but if you want to get a new sniper for example, this is the place to do it. Now I just run through the fridge, activate the fast travel station, only to find that Sanctuary has been wiped out of the system, so I make my way through the next area. Now again, you can just go the normal way, take the crane or the bridge, or you can do 2 grenade jumps and skip right through the thresher. Which you can kill easily with this lag pistol and the skyrocket.
Simple, except not at all. You'll need to get that back.
On my way to Overlook, I make sure to activate this fast travel station because I'll be using it quite a bit later on. The fight in Overlook is really nothing noteworthy. You can pull an Obi-Wan and use the high ground for an advantage, but other than that, nothing interesting happens. Once we're back in Sanctuary, I want to do a few side quests just to get some more XP. Don't complete the main mission objective yet. As we did before, we want to level up a bit before accepting the next quest to scale it to a specific level. So we go to the bounty boat and get the Clan Wars side mission. Clan Wars is a mission chain and is mostly pretty straightforward. However, if you use some clever car strats, you can avoid driving around a whole bunch. So when you get to turning in End of the Rainbow, you spawn both cars, but leave one in the Hodan camp. After driving with the other car to Steve, you teleport to the first one, do the mission, teleport back to the second one to turn it back in, teleport back once more to get the new quest, teleport back one last time and drive to Lynchwood. Having Lynchwood unlocked now will make the farm at the end of this mission chain easier. From Lynchwood you can just travel to Sanctuary and get drunk. Now, crashing the wake is also easy as can be. The game wants you to kill the enemies in the bar, but you really don't need to. You could just walk in, get the check mark, and walk back out. When we get to the showdown, you travel to Lynchwood and go to the area transition to spawn directly next to the bosses. First, you will farm tech the first Slagger. Now, as long as you only kill the boss and not also all of his goons, you can save good and refarm them without having to complete the mission. This way we'll get both the Slagger from Tector and we'll be able to farm Mick for Maggie and XP. And That's exactly what we're gonna do. After getting the slag, I complete the quest by killing Mick, and farm him using the slag and the fastball for Maggies, and until I reach level 23. Now, if you don't get a Maggie before you reach level 23, which is unlikely but can still happen, just keep farming until you get one. After reaching level 23, I max out steady, get do or die, and start going down the Guerrilla tree by putting points into ready. Once we're done with this, we go back to Sanctuary. Before talking to our friends, I finish Marcus's quest just to get rid of the pistol we got from it. Then, I grab the Doctor's Orders quest from Tannis. Once at Wildlife, I get a new shield and go meet Mordecai. I'll damage the 3 loaders and make my way through the map. Interestingly enough, you don't actually have to hit the button at the door like the game wants you to. You can just skip that area entirely and be completely fine. Once at the area before Bloodwing's Feather, I kill the loot midgets once just to see what I can get. In this case I got a Pyrophobia, which I won't be using, as mentioned in the intro. I don't bother farming the midgets more, but if you want to, you can. While making your way through the map, you can decide to fight all these enemies here to open the door, or you can simply do a grenade jump here and jump over it. Bloodwing's first phase is easily dealt with using the Maggie, and for the other two I just use the Skyrocket.
Hello there, Luke.
Listen to me, girl. The Vault Hunter's your friend. It's Erosion. You're gonna regret ever dragging Bloodwing into this, Jack.
And that's that mission. Before going out and meeting Brick, I get the Rackaholics Anonymous quest from Mordecai. It gives a nice Moxie weapon as a reward, which I'll be using throughout most of normal mode and TVHM. Getting the barrels from the car can be made really simple. I just grab a car, leave the dust, go back in, and the car will be stuck in place. Once that's done, I farm the turret at Moxie to get myself a matching grip Slag Ruby, and since it's a Moxie gun, it has the lifesteal effect, so when wielding it you gain 12% lifesteal to all damage dealt. After that we go meet Brick, do his initiation and protect this place, then go to Opportunity, take out the Jack clone and get our voice change. Yeah, not much to talk about here. But before going to the bunker, there are a couple of things I want to do still. First, it's getting to level 25. I simply farm Mobley and Gettle for XP. They are unlocked after completing the Good, the Bad and the Mordecai mission. Also keep the XP relic you got. You can equip it instead of the Vault Hunter relic if you haven't found a cooldown one. Now it's possible that you'll get a Lyuda of a Rook doing this farm, and if you do, you can obviously use either going forward. I won't, cause I want to make this guide even for everyone. In any case, once we've reached level 25, we'll be going to the Scarlet DLC to get ourselves a class mod. Now, I only play this DLC until I unlock the Grendel side mission, which is after meeting Scarlet, so we clear out the area and kill Nobiot. Since the upcoming fights involve a lot of loaders, it's good to farm him for his stink pot. Keep in mind he's a one-time farm, so you'll have to farm him with read only, if you don't get one first try.
Thank you so very much, my friend. Yes. Now that my water is safe.
Then we meet Shade, fix the boat, meet Scarlet and go back to Oasis to get the quest from the bounty board. Once we have that, I'll make my way to Hades Folly to complete it. I don't bother finishing the Sandman quest yet, as I'll be doing that later on in the run. Now, I just want the class mod. I found the turn-in for a Master Grenadier with +4 in Grenadier and +3 in Steady. You can also take one that has those skills reversed, but I'd heavily advise against taking one with Impact. It's just not that great of a skill. Now we make our way to the bunker. I kill the first constructor, jump up on these rocks to avoid the mortars, kill the 2 turrets, run up behind the baddest constructor and kill it from behind cover. Then it's off to the actual boss. Killing the 11 turrets shouldn't be an issue, just be careful to not fall off or die to the lasers. Bunker itself is easy as well, use the stink pot for extra corrosive damage on it. Now comes the most fun part of the story, control Core Angel. You can get to it either by just going with the elevator, or you jump out of bounds here and fall down a bit faster.
Rip them from their chests.
It's just 15 minutes of boring mobbing, not too much to say about that. Nothing really important happens anyway. The chest room after is the same as the widgets. You can farm this with read-only, but I usually don't bother. Once we get out, I get the safe and sound quest from Marcus. We'll turn this into Moxie as well to get the Heartbreaker. Now for this you want to travel to the Caustic Caverns. This is why we came here earlier. Go out to Sanctuary Hall, up the stairs until you hit the trigger, back into the caverns and over to Blue. After getting the images, I found the turn-in for a matching group Heartbreaker. After that, it's off to Iridium Blight. I followed the mission until I got to Sawtooth, but don't complete the map just yet. First, it's time to get some more levels. There are two main ways most people get levels here. I personally farm Mobley and Kettle. Other people just kill King Mong over and over. I usually farm around level 28. Some people like to push it all the way to 30, but it's really your call. As mentioned before, if you farm Mobley and Kettle, it's possible to get a Lyuda over Rook, but for the sake of this guide, I won't be using either. Once that's done, I put the points I get to max out ready and start working on maxing out Willing. Then I go back to Sawtooth. You can get yourself a better adaptive shield from the vendor here if you need it. Then it's time to fight. Sawtooth has the reputation for giving people some problems, but with the way I do it, it usually works out fine. I jump down the side of the cliff to get right to the entrance, clear out all the enemies next to the elevator, then call the button to have the commander spawn. Once they are dealt with, you can go the normal way around the map marker, or you can use a grenade jump to skip all of that. I kill all of the enemies in that area and make use of a very weird trigger. If you jump in this corner, it counts towards the mission progression and skips it forward. Again, don't ask me why it's a thing, it just is. Then I grenade jump up to the pipe and make my way to the buzzard that way to avoid aggroing the enemies up here. I have to run a bit into the camp to update the objective, but once the buzzard is dealt with, I just go back the way I came from. Water is easy to kill, and the 5 buzzards should not be an issue either. After that, we go to the Boneyard. Now once here I turn the mission in and travel to Sanctuary to get the This Just In mission for Mordecai. This is where the Singularity comes in handy. I never actually take the elevator up to the enemy, I just throw the Singularity at the floor to aggro Helquist that way and make him jump down. This prevents the loaders from spawning after the mission is completed. You can farm for a decent P-shield. I usually just take the first one that drops. I'd recommend getting one that you can use immediately. On to the pumping stations. I go to the first one, send the elevator down, spawn both cars, take one to the second station across, hit the valves, then teleport to the other car to save some time. The last pumping station can be a bit scary because enemies with rocket launchers can spawn here, so look out for those. They'll really ruin your day if you're not careful. Once that's done, I do another skip to avoid going through the pipe. Once in the Badlands, I go into the Uncle Teddy mission from the bounty bar. If you turn that into Una, it gives you the Lady Fist, a pistol with 800% crit damage. Yeah, that's pretty balanced. The quest itself is very easy, all the echoes always spawn at the same location, and after picking up the last one you can select the Getting to Know Jack quest to skip some dialogue, and use the money here to group pick up the blueprints through the floor. Here I'm looking for a decent non-elemental Lady Fist. Decent meaning either Banded, Hyperion, Overlap of Grip, and preferably a Sight. Once I got that, it's off to Saturn. Killing him should not be that difficult, just use the B anti-slagger or a Lyuda if you have one. This little hut is the perfect hiding spot to be safe from most of his attacks. For the enemies going forward, I'll be using the B and the Lady Fist combo since that's balanced. Once we have the location of the warrior, we're ready to finish the game. Well, not quite. I first want to get some more levels, so back to Saturn we go. I farmed Saturn to around level 31 to be at a comfortable level for the last couple of quests. I use a grenade jump to get the Saturn faster, but you can just go the normal way around as well. Now back at Sanctuary, I get the final quest and make my way to Claptrap and Iridium Blight. I save quit after talking to him to skip some dialogue. The fight at the door itself should not be that hard. I usually just hide behind this container to get some cover. The main thing to look out for are the badass surveyors. And with that done, we're on to the second to last map. Now, Hero's Pass is nothing special. The only thing to pay attention to are enemies with launchers, as to not have them surprise you. You can of course follow Hero's Pass the intended way and get to the vault like that, but to speed it up, I use some skips here and there. You may notice that there is no lava in my vault. This is simply a side effect of using DXVK. The lava is still there and will very much burn me, it's just invisible. Killing Jack and the warrior is extremely easy with the Lady Fist and the B-Shield. I approach Jack from the side here to have a better angle on him during the fight and to have some cover when fighting the warrior. Once the warrior falls, you're tasked with hitting the moonshot button to kill it. There's a thing to note about this though. Warrior has 7 dedicated drops, the conference call, the Flacker, the Volcano, the Leech, the Impaler, random blue relics, and a skin. During this mission objective, the warrior will drop one of his drops every time. If you kill him normally, it's only a 10% chance for one. So this is why we use read only to farm this mission objective for any specific drop, since it makes it 10 times more likely to get it. In this case, I farm until I get a fire conference call. This gun can be useful way later in the run, so it's good to get it at some point. You can also get it during the TVHM or UVHM story run. I just like to get it as early as possible. The main thing the fire conference call is used for is killing Haderex in the Fight for Sanctuary DLC. Haderex can drop the peak opener, which is a really strong gun on Axton. So if you want to get that, you'll want the fire CC. Now once you have that done, you can kill Jack. And we're done. Well, not quite. There are quite a few things I do now before starting TVHM. First is getting some XP. Warrior's a really good XP farm, so I do that until level 35. After maxing out Willing, I start putting points in the Onslaught. Once that's done, I go back into the Scarlet DLC to progress it further until I get to the side mission, which will give me the Pimpernel. Killing Sandman is easy because this area is still scaled to level 25. To get to him a bit quicker, I use 3 grenade jumps, but again, you can just go the intended way. Now for the second piece, I'm using a similar strategy as in Clan Wars. I spawn 2 boats, keep one by Scarlet, and then use the other one to get the piece. Travel back to the first one, get the next mission and the gift, travel back to the boat on the far side, and get to the Rust Yachts. Once there, I use the 2 grenade jumps to skip the gate and the enemies surrounding it, and a safe route that goes up and over the enemies, just to avoid them.
Throwing masher!
Then we have to get the tapes for Herbert. This mission sends you all over the map, but there are a few ways to make it a bit faster/safer. The first being to jump over this fence to get down to the objective faster. Once I get the first tape, I go back up to Herbert and use a grenade jump to get up the boat. This is to avoid having to go through the camp back by the first tape, so now I can just get the rest of them and go back to Herbert. We're almost done with this DLC for now. Last thing we have to do is to get to the refinery. Once there, grab the mission from the sensor board, complete it, and grab the second one he has. This is the one we're after. Now I would recommend you simply leave through the area transition and do the quest, because then you can just save quit and spawn right back up at the refinery. Then it's time to farm this reward. Here I'm looking for a matching grip slag pimpernel. It'll be useful for this start of TVHM and some of the later farms we'll have to do. Once I have that, we go to Lynchwood. I complete the first two missions here to get to the last one where you fight the sheriff. The sheriff has a chance to drop the sheriff's badge relic, which is extremely useful. I like to do this part here on read only, since if you do it after the mission ends, you have enemies spawn on your way to the sheriff. I usually take the first sheriff's badge I get here. If I get a bad one right now, I come back later and farm a better one. Then I read only farm the turner to get myself a perfect deputy's badge. That relic is not that important on Axton, but it can be useful in some situations, and since it only has 4 variants, getting a perfect one is not difficult. The last thing to get done in normal mode is to get a couple more levels. The goal is to get around level 37.5. This is specifically to scale a mission later in TVHM. To do that, I use the Snowman Headhunter, since the boss gives good EXP and the train can give some really good loot. This Headhunter is really short and straightforward. The only thing to know is that when you kill the Snowman during the mission, you can actually kill him again after turning in the mission again, without having to save quit. After that, you'll have to save quit every time though. The loot train you get after every kill can have some really good items in it. The main things I'm looking out for here are bandit launchers, a better reactive shield, a cooldown relic, and the singularity grenades I mentioned at the start.
Somebody's got to deal with all those new vaults.
Dibs.
You can't call dibs on hunt.
And that's that. Now we're ready for TVHM. I hope this guide could help some of you and you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe to not miss the TVHM upload. Thanks for watching and I'll see you around.